Welcome back to Dr. Introspect TV. And it's your host, Dr. Introspect, and I'm back. I am trying to be consistent and trying to get back in flow. This is a live video, and it's my second live video actually, so give me some grace. I'm still getting the hang of it. I think my next video I'm going to attempt streaming on multiple platforms at the same time. Still trying to figure it out. So if you have any insights on that, that would be helpful. I dropped a new video yesterday actually, the Bridgerton season 3 analysis. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out and come back and join in the conversation. Today, per the title, we're going to be talking about the Netflix movie Atlas, and it's the movie starring Jennifer Lopez. And I know the setting of the movie is far into the future, and it's AI technology. AI is like all the rage right now, and so there's a lot of movies along those lines and along those themes, and it's not new to kind of see how they are showing different narratives of how the world can evolve in a positive or negative way with the application of this kind of technology. So some bit of fear mongering, I would say. They're gonna off all of us and take over the world type of thing. Spoilers ahead per usual. In this analysis, I'm going to be focusing on just, the psychological, philosophical aspects. And for this particular movie, I am just going to have an open conversation with regards to mental health. A lot of the topics I discuss are usually around that, so it doesn't surprise anyone, I would say, that that's what I'm doing in this video. If this is your first time stopping by on the Introspect channel, we look at entertainment and media, and we do introspection via different lenses to see what we can take away from it to apply to our lives. And I like to say I tell you the stories behind the stories. And so Jennifer's been getting a lot of kickback lately, and some people even said her acting and delivery wasn't great here. On this channel, I do not do any kind of analysis on the acting of the characters. I just focus more so on the plot, the theme, and I do more so thematic analysis. And so, some background on the story. There are two things I'm going to be talking about here. I'm going to be talking about trauma, and I'm going to be talking about vulnerability. And I feel like the story resonates with a lot of people, and that's why I thought it's worth having a conversation about. And I feel like in our time and age today, we don't have a lot of spaces where people feel comfortable to be able to have these kind of conversations. Whatever you are, whether you're a man or a woman or something else in between. The main themes, like I said, I'll be talking about here are trauma and vulnerability. And with the case of trauma, most of the emphasis is going to be on betrayal trauma. And I think betrayal trauma is something that a lot of people can relate to at some level, whether it is betrayal in your friendships, in your romantic relationships, or betrayal in your family of origin. So I would say, and if I had to summarize the story, it's a story about the journey to healing, and it's about also the fears of vulnerability. And there's a lot of fear going on in the story. In fact, Jennifer's character, aside from her antisocial tendencies and, you know, no relational skills or tendencies, she's actually an introvert. She is uncomfortable with the unknown. She is, wanting to really study things and understand them. And she's like an agent in this enterprise, but she's not a field agent. She's an analyst. She's the person that works with the brain, works with the technology, but she's not out in the field fighting things. I wonder why, you know? When the movie comes to an end, JLo actually evolves and becomes someone that's in the field fighting things. If I was to do an analysis on Atlas, which is the name of JLo's character, Atlas is, you know, probably an Enneagram 5, and she has spent a lot of her life in this Enneagram 5 mode. And by the end of the movie and through the movie, her character goes through a lot of transformation. And now she is in that 8 mode where she is really going out into the world and really taking up space and like doing things in the field, and also opening herself up to experiences and just, life, sensory, all of that. Um, the trauma, specifically in this story, is Atlas Shepard's first trauma from her childhood. She actually experiences two, one of which where she watches her mom, die and blames herself for it, without too much of a narration of the events. She helped alter the code of the villain that is called Harlan in the story. He is a sophisticated AI robot that her mother created, along with many other robot AI technologies. And, she was a child, she was trying to, be smarter or something, felt she wasn't having enough of her mom's attention, and felt if she could be smarter, then she'd get more of her mom's attention. And the robot tricked her into believing if he unlocked her code, he'd help her do that. But by helping him achieve that, he just kind of took over himself, and he offed her mom and so many other people in the process. And she kind of watched it happen, and it's not her fault. Even if she wasn't a child and she was an adult, it's not her fault. But as a child, um, there is that direct thing where they blame themselves for everything that happens. And so that's what happened. The second trauma, of course, is the betrayal trauma with the AI robot itself. So I'm saying robot, if you haven't seen the movie, you're thinking it's like some spherical ball that hovers around. It's actually very functional. It looks human, it feels sentient, it talks, it has flesh, everything. And because the mother created it was like the betrayal of a sibling. They were very close. They spent many years together. It's like growing up with a sibling that betrays you. And she never talked about this with anyone. She kind of internalized this, stuffed it down, made it her mission in life to study everything there is to know about this technology and this robot and this Harlan character. That's why she became an analyst, so that she can take them out, so that she can, it's not just revenge, but I'd say it's more so kind of forgive herself, wipe her slate clean. She feels responsible for everything that's happened, and she never opened up to anyone. I can imagine when she probably got into whatever foster care system that is in the time, whoever became her caretaker, they probably scheduled some therapy, and she probably didn't say anything to anyone, and she just kept this trauma bottled up. And I think about that. I think about a lot of us. I feel like a lot of people are in this space. especially men. And I say men because at least women, if your partner breaks your heart, cheats on you, something happens, you can talk to your girls about it. And maybe a guy will tell his guy she did this, but how many of them are going to really talk about the hurt and talk about how it makes them feel and cry and all of these things? Maybe they would drink a couple of beers with their friends, but they wouldn't really go deep, you know? And for those that don't have that, how many of them are going to therapy to really deal with their betrayal traumas or with their, yeah, the betrayal traumas, Um, I'd say that's the ideal space to have it. But we live in a society where um, I can imagine young men being little boys being told you can't cry, push down your emotions, you're not supposed to be emotional, be a man, all of these narratives. And even though maybe no one is telling them that in the real world anymore, those voices have been internalized and it's playing back in your mind. And they have all of these emotions and they just stuff it down and they have nowhere to go. Um, and it's quite painful. And so think about that for a second. Trauma is so life changing. Betrayal trauma, especially. In the story, we see how trauma can not only affect you, prevent you from making new relationships, but it can also affect how you show up in the relationships that you are in. For Atlas, for example, she is like this loner. She is at home in her small apartment, where her robot or whatever tech stuff she has, playing chess by herself, just being by herself. It doesn't seem like she has any friends, any romantic partners, anything. We don't even see any family inside. Like, you are so isolated. But then, how do we see Atlas show up in the connections she's making? As small as her bubble is, her immediate connections is just her work colleagues. And you can see she is very dismissive, she's very abrasive, she is very mistrusting, she doesn't trust anyone. And trust is a big word, but she doesn't even have anything like that. Everyone can be a threat, her boss is everything. And this is how trauma can really affect you. The other aspect of the story is with regards to vulnerability. Vulnerability is a word that is kind of in the pop culture lately. You see a lot in the media, you see a lot in pop psychology references and social media. This is where we are now. Um, and I think it's a good thing, I think it's good that people are becoming comfortable with this word and trying to apply it in their lives. With vulnerability, you're trying to build connection, and authentic connections require vulnerability. In this movie, we see that simulated in the story. So in the film, there's something called like a link, where the humans try to link with the robot machine things that they take with them to battle, and it creates like a good symbiotic relationship where they're in sync and they are kind of synergistically connected, where they are smarter, more efficient, better together than individually. And now she has to go into the field to go and get this Harlan villain guy. She has to sync with her own robot, and she's having an issue with that because in order to do that sync, vulnerability has to happen. The robot needs to go into her mind because that's what will make the sync happen. See your memories, everything. Go into the mind, and there's that block, right? There is a block there preventing it from happening. And when you watch this film, it's very easy, I'd say, for you to like just watch it and think, oh, AI, technology on the surface. But when you really look deeper, you realize that it's not just technology. It's really showing us what it's like for people to try to be vulnerable in new relationships, in new connections, and how challenging that can be after you have had traumatic experiences, not one, not two, however many, even if it's just one, happen to you. And we are watching that emotion, how difficult, like we are there with Atlas, Jennifer Lopez is delivering my opinion of that. You can see the struggle. And if you are trying to be in a relationship with someone struggling with that, whether it's PTSD or CPTSD on any level, I would say this is just a glimpse into what that can feel like for them. I mean, for you, it's frustrating, I guess. Your heart is probably open, you're willing to accept them, you're there, right there with them on the doorstep, your hand is stretched out, and you're like, I am here. Like the robot was saying, you know, just let me in, just, like I'm here, whatever pace you want to go at. And we noticed that, um, yeah, whatever pace you want to go at, whether you're comfortable with, I understand. I'm here, like whatever it is, you know, I'm here. And just think about that for a second and picture whoever it is you're trying to connect to that is having so many walls up. They're going through what Atlas was going through in trying to establish that link connection with the AI. Another thing to realize is that aside from, okay, she's just trying to establish a connection, this AI is a different version of the version her mother created. So, yeah, there's this bad version out there killing people, but it's the same technology, you're linking, it has, it's like this really high level AI. It's nothing like what we're using right now. And it's like, even if it's not the same version, it's still technology. It's like the same species. So think about how you're a girl, you've been hurt by a guy, and now you feel all men are bad. Or you're a man, you've been hurt by a girl from, I don't know, junior high, and now you think all women are like the girl that hurt you in junior high. Well, you're 35 years old now. So objectively, it's like, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. But then that's how your subconscious is processing. And it's also for your own protection. You know, you don't get burned by fire and go back into fire, right? You see anything that looks like it, you avoid it. So now all girls are bad, all men are bad, all AI is bad. So it's bad enough that she has this fear with the species of the same technology that did this to her, but now she has to link with it. She has to connect with it. She has to let it go in, and she did that before. And look what happened. Like when I let the other technology link to me before, look what happened. I lost my mom, and so many other people also died. So even though it's not the exact same scenario right now, that fear of it could happen again, the same thing can happen again, can be so overwhelming and so scary. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather not let that happen again. Um, an aspect that was kind of very intriguing to me in that simulation of the link was how it wasn't like a quick process. I don't know how it was for the other soldiers and other agents, maybe theirs was quick, but it was happening in phases. So you'd see it's like in 10%, and then maybe 30 minutes into the movie, after a day or two, it's now at 45%, it's now at 50%. It's progressing slowly. And I thought that that was kind of interesting because when you are trying to connect with someone, authentic relationships don't happen in a day, they don't happen in a week, they don't happen in a month. It takes time. Whether or not you've had trauma in the past or you haven't, if you're trying to build authentic relationships with people, it is going to take time, and anyone that is not ready to go through that process with you at a pace that feels safe and confident and comfortable rather, is probably not someone you should be connecting with in the first place. There's also the theme of consent. So as uh, Atlas is establishing this connection initially, and the AI says her name, she gets very angry. She has like this reaction, this immediate reaction. You can just think about people that have been traumatized and think about a knee jerk reaction they have to maybe a statement you make or something you say or something you do that is a trigger. I would say that was a very good way to kind of depict what a trigger could be. And in that specific scene, she's like, I told you not to go into my brain. Consent, right? I told you not to go into my brain. How do you know my name? This is why I don't like you people, you robots, blah, blah. And the robot is like, your name is on your badge. It's on your name tag. I read your name tag. So I just thought, like, okay, consent. When she said, don't go into my mind, don't go in there unless I ask you, unless I have to give you permission to do so. Boundaries. I was like, I hope other people are seeing this because this is very clear to me that she is right here laying down her boundaries. She's saying, this is what I'm comfortable with, this is not what I'm comfortable with, you know. And I like that the AI actually respected it, you know. Eventually in the movie, she does. There was a very pivotal moment. I think they were about to like be killed or something, and they had to do the link eventually. I don't know even if they eventually did the link. Did they? I can't remember. But um, she finally revealed, and that's when we find out how her mother actually died, how she's carried that trauma her whole life, how she blames herself, how she feels responsible, and everything about Atlas's character over 1 hour into the movie finally makes sense. Past betrayal trauma makes it hard to trust. Every new connection triggers the old wounds. It kind of reminds you of the pain of before, and it can make it very challenging to move forward. And so I think those are the main things about this movie. This is not going to be a very long live session because I think the movie is very straightforward. Um, it's not like my best movie of the year, but it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie, and I like the messaging of vulnerability and how and the way it opens up the conversation for discussing trauma, specifically betrayal trauma. And what are the things I say we can take away from this? For one, have the courage to take the steps to heal and have the courage to try again. It doesn't have to be a year, after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. This happened to Atlas as a child, and I could assume her character is probably in late 30s or early 40s. I don't know the age of the character, but I'm gonna say it's definitely in the 30s. And she carried the pain for so many years before she could move past it. And it took a secure connection to help that. I think that's what going to therapy really helps you do. It's not just about talking about the pain to a therapist, fleshing it out. It's also building a secure base relationship with the therapist, where the therapist mirrors what a secure base is like, a place where you can feel safe, say what you need to say, express your emotions, express your feelings. And yes, the therapist is being paid to do this. It's not like a friendship where both of you are creating a safe space where you can be authentic selves, where you can say anything, but you're also creating a safe space for the other person to be able to say anything. So with the therapist relationship, it's kind of one way, in the sense that you don't expect your therapist to confide in you about their problems and what's going on and all of that. That's not what they're there to do. But they are there to be there for you, to help you with your challenges, with your problems, creating that safe, secure base. And when you have that, that can help you move to a more secure place. Because right now, Atlas is in a dismissive, she's in an avoidance space, I would say. Some people might say it's dismissive, some people might say it's fearful, but I think it's dismissive. I think Atlas has a dismissive attachment style at this time. She shut everyone out. She is self sustaining. She's not looking for intimate connections, intimate bonds, and she doesn't trust people. She doesn't trust people to meet her needs. She doesn't trust people, period, not just about meeting her needs. She doesn't trust anyone, people, robots, anything. But the connection she builds with this new AI, as we see as the movie ends, is a secure connection, and her life is changing now. She's no longer just an analyst, she's going into the field, and I can assume she's opening her world and her life more to more experience, to more joy, to more laughter, to more, who knows, maybe she'd even make a love interest and connect and continue to like move on with her life. And even if it's not love interest, maybe friends, you know, building this secure base, helping her to feel like she can build on trust, and that yes, I can trust other people, I can rely on other people. Of course, they have to earn that, they have to show that they are justified to have that level of trust in them, but you're capable of giving that away. And so, having the courage to heal, having the courage to try again is a lesson. The other thing that is important is boundaries. You need to have boundaries. Um, that will help you in fostering new relationships, wherever you are in your healing journey, even if you don't have any journey to heal from. And finally, lastly, true connection takes time. You have to let time reveal people to you, reveal their true intentions and their true nature. And when people do show you who they are the first time, believe them. And so that's the end of this video. I look forward to your comments in the comment section, and if you have any thoughts on what you'd like us to talk about in our next video, or what you'd like us to chat about in the next movie or series, or even a book or song, whatever it is, lyrics, let's talk about it. I have many ideas coming forward that I'm excited about. I always say this and then I drop off, but like hopefully it's different this time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. I love you. Love yourselves too.